All right, everyone. Welcome to our first episode with Wellness Pearls. It's your host, Stacy, and I'm back with everyone's favorite, probably most talked about topic. And it's done on usually a yearly basis. It's the most popular resolution that we make at the beginning of the year and usually ends up on the back burner by the end of the first week. So you probably guessed it by now. It is weight loss. So now this is such a huge topic, and everything can't be covered in just one sitting. Just because there's so much. There is the causes, there's medications and treatment options, the common trends, and multiple different diets and exercises, et cetera, et cetera. So in general, I like to keep my episodes on the shorter side just because, let's be real, our attention span is short. And before you know it, we're dozing off and thinking about what we need to do for this evening or what needs to get done for the next day. So today we're going to focus on one portion of weight loss, which is we're going to focus on the top 3 culprits for weight gain and how to combat it. So why did I choose this topic? I chose it because the holiday season is coming up. It's fast approaching it, and before you know it, we're already going to hit Christmas. So instead of thinking about how to lose weight when you're elbow deep in that stuffing, let's focus on it now before all that craziness starts up. Let's focus it now where we actually have a moment to breathe and proactively take these steps. Because remember, it is more important to try to proactively take these steps than try to find out a treatment when you're in the middle of a problem. So the number one culprit, and this is in no particular order, so one of the 3 culprits for weight gain that I see very often is eating larger portions and increased amounts of processed fatty foods. Now, before you come at me, think long and hard and be true to yourself before you answer this question. Are you eating the right amount and the right types of food? So an easy way to figure this out is you can use a macro calculator. There's plenty of them out there. If you Google it, you'll easily find one. Basically, it is looking at your basal metabolic rate and calculating the calories that you should be consuming based on your goal. Whether that goal is to lose weight or maintain weight or even gain weight. It looks at a number of factors. It's not like a BMI where it's just looking at your height and weight predominantly. This macro calculators are basically looking at a number of factors such as your age, your gender, your height, your weight, your activity level, the intensity of that activity level, whether it's light, moderate, or very high levels of activity levels, and calculating that percentage of carbs and protein and fat that you should be consuming on a daily basis, depending again on the goal. So you can compare that number to the amount that you are consuming on a daily basis currently. So if you're actually taking the time and calculating the total calories you are consuming on a daily basis, along with the percentage of carbs, protein, and fat, you might actually be totally surprised by that number. I know I was. When I first used the macro calculator and compared it with what I was actually eating and truthfully recording it, I was shocked by the excess amount that I was consuming. And not only that, it helped me become more aware of what I was putting into my body. It helped me read nutrition labels more appropriately. And whenever I go and buy things, I then look at the nutrition labels before buying things for myself and also for the family. So basically, I was consuming more processed foods than than whole foods. And I wouldn't have been aware of that if I hadn't been documenting, recording all of this, and using a macro calculator and comparing it. So by taking a deep look into your own daily lifestyle, it'll open up so much more knowledge about ourselves, and we'll be more prone to making those appropriate changes. So take that first step, take a long, hard look on what you eat on a typical daily basis, on the portions that you eat on a daily basis. And if weight loss is your goal, consider using a macro calculator to adjust the types of food that you eat as well as the portions. All right, so culprit number 2 is inactive lifestyle and being sedentary. It is so easy nowadays to be sedentary and live a inactive lifestyle. In a world where everything gets delivered to your doorstep with a click of an app, it makes it extremely easy and convenient to live a sedentary lifestyle. The problem with that is that it increases your risk of comorbidities such as heart disease, stroke, diabetes, among many others. And at the same time, it leads to weight gain because the food that we use as energy is not being used because there's just not enough energy expenditure being done. And the glucose that we consume through food is being converted into fat and not being used for energy. So again, take a look into your life and see how much activity are you getting on a daily basis. Are you exercising at all? And if you are working, how are your work conditions? Does it primarily consist of a lot of walking, or is it primarily sitting at a desk? If you are at school or if you're a college student, most likely you're sitting in a chair majority of the day, and are you making up for it by exercising or getting outdoors and going for a walk during your off hours? So these are the type of questions that you need to ask yourself and truthfully answer in order to get a better perspective on your life. In your mind, you might be thinking, oh yeah, I'm definitely active and running around, doing all these things. But what gave me perspective was I was wearing a kind of like these Apple Watches, a fitness tracker, I would say. And that helped me become aware of how many steps I was actually taking on a typical day. And the number was a lot lower than what I had in my mind. So by wearing this fitness tracker on a daily basis, I was able to increase my steps and become more aware that am I sitting down for too long, or have I had enough exercise today? So it just makes you become more aware, and it makes you motivated to make those changes on a daily basis. All right, the final culprit, not the only one. And this one is a very common one that we see. It's stress and inadequate sleep. So increased amount of stress, as we know, it leads to higher levels of cortisol being released, which in turn has been noted to be a factor in weight gain. And at the same time, inadequate sleep also leads to weight gain. And this combination is not a good duo. It increases your risk also for many other illnesses and comorbidities. So it's very important when we're talking about stress to find outlets to release that stress or manage stress on a day-to-day basis. Stress is something that unfortunately we cannot escape from. It just creeps up on you, and before you know it, it can definitely get out of control unless you have a good handle on it. And each person has different ways of handling stress, as well as effective ways of combating it. And it can be maybe yoga, it can be meditation, it can be through exercise. And for each person, it's unique for their own. So find what works best for you and stick with it. Maybe it's just venting it out to somebody. Maybe it's through therapy. So find what works best for you, stick with it, and try to lessen the amount of stressors that you come across on a daily basis. And at the same time, if you're having difficulty sleeping, find out what may be the culprit for that and practice good sleep hygiene, such as maybe avoiding electronics before bed, creating an environment that is conducive for sleep. And there's many other ones that you just have to be consistent with it so that you're training your mind and your body to know that, hey, it's sleep time to shut it down and focus on sleeping. So these 3 reasons are the popular ones that I have seen, but they are not the only ones for weight gain. There are many other ones, such as hormone imbalances, especially with hypothyroidism, and certain medications make you more prone to weight gain. Genetics plays a role, certain diseases, et cetera, et cetera. So it is very important, like I stressed before, that it is important to talk with your healthcare professional if you've truly tried the attempts at weight loss and you're just not having success, because it is 2023. There are many options available to assist with weight loss, and we'll discuss those options at a later episode. But I just want you to know that you have to take that first step. It's important to take that first step and be proactive to making those changes in your life, because if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do the work for you. All right. So I hope this episode helped y'all and given you the motivation to kickstart your goals. Remember, there's never a better time than today to start on your goals, because tomorrow's never promised. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, please, please, please leave your comments, questions, suggestions. Leave them for me on my message board, or you can message me on Instagram as well under Wellness Pearls. As well as please rate this episode and give me feedback so that I can make changes accordingly. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you for the next episode. Ciao.